enlisted in the Navy in April of 1971. Went to Great Lakes for boot camp. Finished boot camp and was assigned to the USS Eversole, DD 789. Deployed to Westpac and was involved in naval gunfire operations and interdiction operations off the coast of North and South Vietnam. Also did combat search and rescue operations off of North Vietnam. The ship was involved with rescuing 2 downed air crews. We were also involved with the mining of Haiphong Harbor at the same time we were there. Returned back to the States, was non-rated on the Eversole, went to A school, a machinery repairman, fireman upon completion of A school, and was transferred to Norfolk and reported the USS Shenandoah AD-26, which was a repair ship. Immediately left to go back overseas again and deployed to the Mediterranean. Spent 7 months in the Mediterranean doing repair operations in support of the fleet. Was involved at that time, thought we would be in and out, but the 73 Middle East War broke out, and we went to Crete and staged in Crete to support the operations from there. After returning from that, just finished a normal active duty tour. Had about a year and a half left to go. Spent most of that in the Tidewater area. 1976, affiliated with the Naval Reserve, and was assigned MCB 20 as a machinery repairman second class. 1979, went to a situation where they restructured the construction force, and we were moved to MCB 23 as a detachment. Did a variety of different jobs in the battalion, from basic equipment mechanic, because there was no work, no equipment for machinery repairman, so I learned to be a mechanic. Eventually was moved over to the military training department, where I basically spent the entire balance of my time with the Seabees. Went there as a second class, and eventually left there in 1988 as a senior chief. I was involved with running. I was a military instructor, eventually became the battalion's military training chief. When I picked up senior chief, I was given a line company. I ran a line company from 1985 to 1988, and also was the assistant air det officer in charge at the same time. Had a break in service from 88 to 90 due to family reasons, and late 90 returned back to the Navy Reserve, and was assigned to the USS Shenandoah AD 44 as the command senior, and did 3 years based out of the Naval Reserve Center in Stanton, Virginia, for that particular unit as the command senior enlisted. And went from there to the Naval Readiness Command, Region 6 out of Washington, D.C. as a security evaluator, and I traveled throughout the Readiness Command doing security evaluations until I retired in December of '94. It was a totally different experience having 4 years in the fleet to become a Seabee. And after I was acclimated into the system and learned how the process worked, I really found a home. I found that that was a side of the Navy that I was really more comfortable in, even more than what I did in the fleet. I honestly would say that if I don't think I'd have made it a career if I'd have stayed on the blue side of the house. And having an opportunity to go to the Seabees, work construction for the beginning of my career, and then finding out that because of some of the skills that I had and some of the abilities I had to adapt, becoming a military training instructor, doing the combat tactics and the training that went with that, was really something I enjoyed, because I was lucky enough as a reservist to pursue my rating career as a civilian. So I was able to have still what I learned in the Navy as a machinery repairman. I became a tool and die maker as a civilian. So on the reserve weekends I did something totally different, and that happened to be involved with small arms tactics, demolitions, whatever went along with the job. My first 4 years, especially my tour to Vietnam, we were part of the Zumwalt Navy, and that was when we had long hair and we had beards, and as I said, you tried to treat sailors like human beings, and I don't think that's something you can really do. When I got off active duty, the last thing I ever thought I would do was tell you that I'd ever retire from the Naval Service. And the transition, by the time I came back in the reserves in the 70s, there was a slow pickup, there was a lack of pride. But by the early 80s, there was more pride in what we were doing. The Vietnam stigma had gone away, and it became a very professional organization. My wife said I was more of a lifer as a reservist than I ever was on active duty. And once I made a commitment to do the reserve obligation, it did become something that I was very proud of what I did. And my children grew up saying that Daddy's going to play Navy. So that was the process. And so there was a big change, and I think the difference is in that pride and professionalism that was instilled in us.